Dear founder, president, Mrs. Paksi, Madam Puri, members of the AMPRA Foundation, fellow panelists, ladies and gentlemen. It's really such a great pleasure to participate at the She Speaks edition 13 and to share my thoughts on women in leadership and sustainable development. Needless to say that gender equality, including women in leadership, is not just a right thing, but also the only reasonable thing to do. Stronger engagement on gender equality is paramount to sustainable global recovery from the COVID-19 crisis and building fairer, more inclusive, more prosperous and sustainable societies. Achieving gender equality globally requires promoting equal economic independence for women and men, closing the gender pay gap, advancing gender balance in decision-making and labor market, ending gender-based violence. We all know this already, actually. But firstly, let me say a few words on the acute situation in Europe, which we will have huge global impacts, unfortunately, and also here in India. At this very moment, we stand by all women, children, and men of Ukraine whose courage and determination is an inspiration to all of us. We echo the United Nations Secretary General's appeal to Russia to stop this aggression and the High Commissioner's words of grave concern of civilian casualties and human rights implications of Russian action. The European Union, including Finland, does not accept any efforts to undermine fundamental freedoms or existing international human rights obligations. The war is also a violation of women's rights. I would say more shanti here. And we all know that there is no development without security. There is no economic development without security. And there is no sustainable development without respect of international law, universal human rights, and respect of human dignity. Dear participants, as we have already heard today's seminar, women economic empowerment is central to realizing women's rights and gender equality. When more women work, economies grow. It's so simple. This is really simple. Women's economic empowerment boosts productivity, like we have heard already, increases economic diversification and income equality, in addition to other positive development outcomes. According to the OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, women's participation in working life explains as much as 10 to 20% of the Nordic countries' economic growth in the past 50 years. 10 to 20% increase. Within individual companies, by the way, the impact of gender equality on economic growth is even stronger. In Finland, in my country, gender equality is more than just a value, like the founder president was already saying. It's really a cornerstone of our success as a society, as a country. It's no wonder that we are always top ranked. Now, at this very moment, only the second most equal country in the world. But I mean, very often. Did you, by the way, know that the word she or he, we have only one word for that, and it is hän. if you just go to the Khan market, so go around behind the corner a little bit. There is a very beautiful mural which the Delhi street artists have done last year, and it's about Han. So she or he.
Is it a Nordic term?
No, it is a Finnish.
It's Finnish.
Linguistically, we are completely a separate group.
Okay.
So Han, keep it Han. So we don't have any problems with any genders in that sense, like it is the discussion at the moment. And indeed, Finland was the first country in the world to grant full political rights, meaning right to vote, but right to run to office. And that meant 1906, before we were even independent, we had own parliament. 1906, we were able to also to choose women in the parliament, and therefore this kind of property rights, for instance, as basis of fundaments, were really taking care of some social rights as well. And we really hope to motivate and encourage others in this kind of way of sustainable development. And indeed, I was really honored to be a first EU gender champion in India last year. And indeed, there are many female decision makers in Finland, and some are putting attention that they are rather young. But we happen to take all talents on board, whether they are young, middle-aged, or old, they are there. And happily so that you have also young energy in the way. And even in private sector, we are, although I must say that here we really have to still do a lot, because even when Finland is one among the highest in the world when it comes to number of women directors in business and enterprises, on board members in listed companies, we still only have 1/3, and it is really not enough. And they say also, by the way, and it is also according to scientific proof, that those companies, listed companies, who have more women, more equal board members, are more beneficial. So if I were the one owner of the company, I would completely follow the international scientifically proved evidence. In Finnish Foreign Service, by the way, we are more or less about 50% of our ambassadors are women. So there is, the younger generation there is majority of women actually. So I mean, it is sensible thing to do. Do I have still some few words on? I have to leave very soon because there is another important occasion. I'm very sorry about that. But about digitalization, couple of words. Because Finland is a front runner in digitalization and in digital innovation, and has performed extremely well also in international ranking here when it comes to university industry collaboration or global open data index, or we have most digital startups, for instance, per capita in Finland, or we have, for instance, we are first in usage of online banking and some of the other things. So it is no wonder that our two prime ministers last year about this time, they announced a digital partnership also, and that includes in information and communications technologies, future mobile technologies, and digital education. So I think that Finnish success story relies on education, science, applying information, digitalization, and new technologies, and new ways of doing things. And I think this is matching very, very well in when I think the spirit in India also in this field. And we have, of course, in the European Union, like my colleague was saying, we have incredible many programs also in the sustainable digital future. Women and technology, it's another thing. It's sad to know, I was tweeting it also today, that when you think about gender equality, if we are approaching with current page, in the global, so gender equality in the global economy will take more than 267 years.
Wow.
267 years. So we have to act immediately. Technology sector is an example of an area where gender equality is seriously lagging behind, and we need to improve that now. Girls should learn coding and become masters of new technologies. Well over 90% of jobs require an acute knowledge of STEM fields. This also raises the importance of the stronger involvement of women and girls in STEM fields and the equal chance for education in them.
Question has come on Facebook. If you would like to answer, it has come on Facebook.
Okay. And this is not all. We really need everybody to fill this gender gap. This is an area for men and women, boys and girls. We should all have equal chances to learn ITC skills needed today's and future digital world. And I can ensure that my government wants to ensure that girls and women are empowered to become agents and innovators in the digital world. We need to give tools and build a community for girls and women to understand technology and build their ideas. And this digitalization and technology, and I conclude here, can be really a game changer for societies and for girls and women, helping them to fulfill their potential and break cycles of poverty as well. Since Madame Puri is here, I would only say one sentence, that there is a very beautiful program, UN Women's 5-year Generation Equality Campaign, and Finland is leading one of the action coalitions on technology and innovation. And remind, really last words, women are not a minority, but half of the world's population. Without the equal inclusion of half of the world's talent, we will really not able to grow our economies for greater shared prosperity or achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Somebody said leave nobody behind. I think that is quite right. And I would say also act now. And for anybody who has any questions, please find my email address in our websites, and I will try to answer to all of these questions. But really apologizes, but I have to leave now. Thank you very much for this distinguished panel.